National minimum wage, national living wage and apprentice minimum wage are all similar but slightly different. They include different amounts for different ages, which can be really confusing. But don't worry, we're going to go over all the basics, as well as things like who can get them and who can't, if they're legal requirements or if they're optional, and if you don't get them and you're entitled to them, what to do in that situation. Most importantly, what the new rates of 2023 are going to be for each of the categories. Let's start with national minimum wage, and this was introduced in 1999, and it was designed to stop workers being paid too little for the work they did. It was also had to protect jobs, so people didn't lose jobs because companies now had to pay people more money, and also to protect the economy, so the economy didn't take a massive hit because people were now going out of business because their wage bill was a lot higher. Now, although we might feel minimum wage isn't as high as it needs to be, over time it has increased higher than the national average wage and inflation. Now, although this helped a lot of people, apprentices were left behind. I myself did an electrical apprenticeship when I was 19, and I was paid the princely sum of £2.50 an hour. Now, to me, in my head, this wasn't even a pint an hour. You can see where my priorities lied. Either way, in 2010, the government introduced the apprentice minimum wage. This combated a lot of problems for the apprenticeships, but alongside this, there was a long campaign by a lot of groups that the minimum wage wasn't really enough to afford a basic standard of living. So after some to-ing and fro-in, in 2016, the government introduced the national living wage. And the idea was people could earn a real living wage, allowing them to meet their living costs. Or this was the idea. I know it's confusing. Surely minimum wage should do exactly the same thing. What are we saying, that people on minimum wage shouldn't be able to afford a basic lifestyle? In my head, minimum is the minimum amount of money you need to live, or to live comfortably, or to live in a basic way. It just makes no sense, but that's how they've done it. Right, let's not get too bogged down with that. You'll be here all day and I don't want to take up too much of your time. So who gets it and who doesn't? Well, you'll get it whether you're full-time, part-time, a casual worker, a trainee, an agency worker or a disabled worker. This does not apply to people that are self-employed, company directors, a member of the armed forces, a volunteer, on work experience or under the school leavers age. Now, when your employer pays you, there are certain things that can't be included in your minimum pay, and this includes things like tips, so they should be extra. If you're doing unsociable hours and you get an extra rate for that, or you do shift work, so you get shift allowance, that can't be included in minimum wage, it's on top. And also anything that you're getting back from the company, such as expenses for things like tools, uniform or travel. Now, if your employer is including any of this in your minimum pay, or you feel you're not paid the amount you should be, there's a certain process you have to go through to get your pay amended. First and foremost, always talk to your employer. It's the easiest and nicest way to do something. Maybe they're not aware or there's a problem in the system, so make them aware, explain what you think the problem is, and hopefully they'll sort it out. If this doesn't work, then you need to write to them. Explain the situation again, formally, and now you have a paper trail of you bringing it to the attention of the employer. If this still doesn't work, unfortunately you're going to have to get somebody else involved. So what you need to do is ring ACAS, and this is a fully confidential service that will advise you on what to do next. Now, it's worth noting that anybody, whether you're the employee or you just know somebody, can make a formal complaint to HMRC, and this can be about any employer or any employment agency. HMRC will investigate it, and they can do things like ask for the arrears, ask for your pay to be increased, and also issue fines. Or if you wish, you can go directly to the employment tribunal and get it sorted out there. So what are the brackets and what are the wage rates? Well, we'll start with the apprentice minimum wage, and to get this you need to be 19 or under, or you can be 19 and over but in your first year of your apprenticeship. This will entitle you to £5.28 an hour from April 2023, up from £4.81. Don't despair if you're an apprentice over the age of 19, things actually get a little bit better for you. So if you're over the age of 19 and have completed the first year of your apprenticeship, then the national minimum wage applies to you. So what is the national minimum wage? Well, again, it's done in stages. So we'll do the first stage where you have to be above school leaver age but below 18, and this is exactly the same as apprentice wage. So it's £5.28 an hour in April 2023, up from £4.81. If you're aged from 18 to 20, then in April 2023, you'll be on £7.49 an hour, up from £6.83. And if you're 21 or 22, then from April 2023, it's £10.18 an hour, up from £9.18 an hour. So the biggest increase overall. Now you notice there's no bracket above the age of 22. And this is where the national living wage comes in. Why it's not just another bracket, I have no idea, probably a political reason. But either way, the national living wage applies to anyone classed as a worker over the age of 23. Now this actually used to be optional and a lot of employers weren't going for it. So in April 2021, the government made this a legal requirement. So don't let your employer tell you otherwise. So again, from April 2023, the national living wage is £10.42, up from £9.50. Now this isn't a massive increase on national minimum wage, which I don't really agree with, and it is based on hours, so you still have to work the hours. This is just the minimum hourly rate that you must be paid for those hours. Now hopefully most of you agree with me that these increases aren't nearly enough, and that all the wages across the board aren't where we'd need them to be in order to have a basic standard of living. That's why it's so important that we make the most of our money, and this channel is going to help you do that.